everybody. Welcome. It's Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM, emanating from downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, streaming at WMNHradio.org. Of course, you can also watch on Channel 97 Comcast if you're in Manchester. And you can watch on Facebook on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page via Facebook Live, which is one of the ways that you can interact with us, of course. You can also give us a call, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. It is Wednesday, August 15th, 2018. Jenny is here as well.
I am.
And she's as well as in the Facebook Live chat. Also, hello to Fred Bonig from thedailyripple.org. And let's see, I see NASCAR Nicey in there as well. So,
hey guys.
Yes. So we opened with, I think I might have played that on the show before. I'm not sure, but I really like that a lot. That's from my favorite YouTuber, Rocky Mountain Mike. Lord Manafort, what have you done? I
really wish you'd find something that wasn't country.
That's more like bluegrass or, Americana. But I think that's good stuff. But yeah, Manafort, the defense, we mentioned it. We touched on it briefly yesterday when Glenn was here. The defense rested without calling any witnesses, without, Manafort testifying on his own behalf at all. And, I think everyone kind of assumed from the beginning that he's probably going to prison for the rest of his life. According to Reuters, ex-Trump aide Manafort had a huge dumpster of hidden money. Dateline Alexandria, Virginia, Paul Manafort had a huge dumpster of hidden money abroad, a prosecutor said today, urging a jury to convict the former Trump campaign chief on financial fraud charges based more on a paper trail of evidence than the testimony of a former protege, that protege being, of course, Rick Gates. Special Assistant U.S. Attorney Greg Andres gave his closing statement in federal court in Alexandria, Virginia, where Manafort is on trial on tax and bank fraud charges, along with failing to disclose foreign bank accounts. The trial is the first to come out of the special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation of Russian meddling in the 2016 presidential election. The charges involve tax and bank fraud, not possible collusion between Russia and Donald Trump's campaign for president. A Manafort conviction would undermine efforts by Trump and some Republican lawmakers to paint Mueller's Russia inquiry as a political witch hunt, while an acquittal would be a setback for the special counsel. I don't think he's going to be acquitted. The star witness against Manafort has been viewed as Rick Gates, his former right-hand man, who was indicted along with Manafort but pleaded guilty and agreed to cooperate with the government. The defense has portrayed Gates as a lying thief who had his hand in the cookie jar and was only trying to reduce his own sentence. Yeah, he actually stole money from Manafort. There truly is no honor among thieves. Andres argued that
not when they're politician related.
Andres argued that while Manafort did not choose a Boy Scout as his associate, Gates's testimony was corroborated by other evidence, including nearly 400 exhibits. He told the jury, quote, "The star witness in this case is the documents. This wasn't a cookie jar," unquote, referring to the tens of millions of dollars Manafort had overseas. Quote, "It was a huge dumpster of hidden money in foreign bank accounts," unquote.
Wow.
Yeah, there's more to this if you want to check out the whole thing. It's up on Reuters, but like I said,
it's up on what?
Reuters.com.
Well, that's not what it sounded like you said the first time.
Oh, what did it sound like?
More like Reuters.
No, I always say Reuters.
I don't know. I think you were thinking of like a plumber or something.
No, I don't think so. I don't like to think about plumbing. That's disgusting. I leave that to plumbers. Let's see. There's this great story about, I think this is fun, a little bit of a family feud. Stephen Miller, who I continue to believe would just be an ideal James Bond villain, he's very anti-immigrant. One of Trump's top advisors, of course. His own uncle continues to take him to task publicly, and this has been very interesting to watch this unfold, because I guess his uncle just could stay silent no longer. This is from Vox.com. Stephen Miller is a product of chain migration, his uncle says. Chain migration in quotes. David Glosser is his uncle's name. He writes that Miller, quote, has become the architect of immigration policies that repudiate the very foundation of our family's life in this country. All right, so here's the details. So Stephen Miller, the senior policy advisor to the president and one of the ideologues pushing the administration's hardline immigration policies, is a product of the so-called chain migration he and President Donald Trump often deride. That's according to his uncle, who penned an essay in Politico outlining Miller's family immigration story on Monday. David Glosser, a retired neuropsychologist and Miller's uncle on his mother's side, has detailed the story of how the family came to live in the United States. Miller's great-great-grandfather, Wolf Lieb Glosser, left the village of Antipol in what is now Belarus amid, quote, violent anti-Jewish programs there, and came to the U.S. He landed on Ellis Island in 1903 and, over time, was able to bring over the rest of his family. Through that generation and the next, the family built a chain of supermarkets and discount department stores run by Miller's great-grandfather and his grandfather Izzy. The family eventually became American citizens. It's the type of, quote, chain migration or family-based migration that immigration hardliners, including Miller, say they hate. Glosser wrote, quote, I have watched with dismay and increasing horror as my nephew, who is an educated man and well aware of his heritage, has become the architect of immigration policies that repudiate the very foundation of our family's life in this country, unquote. The essay is in part a rejection of the immigration policies his nephew supports and at the same time a plea for him to reconsider. So here's an excerpt from Glosser's essay. He wrote this. I shudder at the thought of what would have become of the Glossers had the same policies Stephen so coolly espouses, the travel ban, the radical decrease in refugees, the separation of children from their parents, and even talk of limiting citizenship for legal immigrants, been in effect when Wolf Lieb made his desperate bid for freedom. The Glossers came to the U.S. just a few years before the fear and prejudice of the America First nativists of the day closed U.S. borders to Jewish refugees. Had Wolf Lieb waited, his family would likely have been murdered by the Nazis, along with all but 7 of the 2,000 Jews who remained in Antipol. I would encourage Stephen to ask himself, if the chanting, torch-bearing Nazis of Charlottesville who support his boss seems to court so cavalierly, do not envision a similar fate for him. So again, that was from Glosser's piece. Miller, age 32, is a fierce proponent of restricting both legal and illegal immigration to the U.S. As Vox's Jane Coaston writes, he was passionate about the subject even in high school and bonded with his former boss, then, big surprise, then Senator Jeff Sessions, over the matter. Miller designed the initial version of Trump's travel ban and agreed with former White House Chief Strategist Steve Bannon when the March 2016 radio interview Bannon complained that the number of immigrants in the country is a massive problem. In his Politico essay, Glosser wrote that perhaps Miller and Trump, quote, have become numb to the resultant human tragedy and blind to the hypocrisy of their policy decisions after spending so much time in the theater of right-wing politics, unquote. But he also noted that Miller isn't the only family with chain migration in Trump's orbit. Trump's grandfather is reportedly a German migrant. His mother fled Scotland for the U.S., and, of course, First Lady Melania Trump's parents became citizens just last week. Glosser wrote, quote, no matter what opinion is held about immigration, any government that specifically enacts law or policy on that basis of ethnicity, country of origin, or religion must be recognized as a threat to all of us. Laws bereft of justice are the gateway to tyranny. Today, others may be the target, but tomorrow it might just as easily be you or me.
I don't get it. we are all products of immigration. Unless you're 100% Native American, somewhere in your genealogy, somebody made the trip.
Right.
Somebody who was not a citizen and then became a citizen. And I just I don't understand it. I mean, I have the naturalization papers for some of my family members, and I know that it was a really big deal to them. They, they worked hard, they studied, they did everything right. There was pride to getting naturalized. Many of the male members of the family joined the military, and now we're saying, well, even that's not good enough. We're gonna send you back. It's like, what? Who are we sending back? Where are we sending them back to? And can somebody please define white?
Yeah. Well, it's who was it who said the other day on the show? Somebody pointed out that if I think it might have been Ben Dion, or it might have been his dad Daryl, because I think this was a conversation I had with them last week on Thursday. We were talking about how how right wingers like Laura Ingraham, they're freaked out about they get freaked out about immigration because of what sometimes is referred to as the browning of America. As America becomes less white, and they're really bothered and freaked out by that. And
what is white?
Well, the thing is, too, we were talking about.
Looking at me, do you think I'm white?
Yes.
No, I'm not.
Right, you're Jewish, but the point being,
I'm also, if you're by running my DNA, I have African blood. I have French.
Yeah.
Italian.
But the
Scottish.
thing is, so as because we were talking the other day specifically about Hispanics coming into the country, and that was kind of the whole thing. Like Laura Ingram's what I think was a very racist commentary about the changing demographics of the country and how freaked out right wingers are about it. And it's like, if white people, quote unquote white people, become the minority, won't we just find other people? Like if it becomes quote unquote too late, which I personally don't care, because to me, people are people. But if it becomes, again, in quotes, too late, and the country is dominated by Hispanics demographically, won't we just then shift our xenophobia to somewhere else?
Yep.
Then it'll be
there'll be a new scapegoat.
Right. Yeah, there always is, because the thing is, historically, at one time, I'm of Irish descent.
Mm-hmm.
Historically,
Me
at one
too.
time, Irish people were discriminated against.
Irish
they
need
had,
not apply.
They had signs up in shops. Nobody wanted to hire Irish people, and we were the bad guys who everyone was afraid of for whatever reason. So,
and interestingly, when you look at like the state of New Hampshire, it's a birthplace of a lot of Catholic schools, a lot of Catholic churches. But when in Massachusetts, in the Cape Cod area, when Kennedy ran for office, they were terrified of Catholics.
Yeah, they
thought that if he won, the Vatican was going to move to D.C. and the United States would be ruled by Catholic law.
Right. They thought that Kennedy would be beholden to the Vatican. Yeah. Which is, there is a parallel there, because now you have the Islamophobes who think that if you let too many Muslims into the country, we're going to, or actually, well, here we can, because I joke about it, right? Like I have this running joke. I talk about how, I didn't agree with Barack Obama on his first day in office signing an executive order declaring Sharia law. And obviously I'm being sarcastic when I say that. I'm making a joke about how right-wingers view Barack Obama. But they had a very similar, they were freaked out by him because, a lot of, to be fair, not all Republicans believe this, but a lot of Republicans, I think polling data shows a fair amount of them to this day, believe that Barack Obama was really a Kenyan-born secret Muslim terrorist who was installed in office to destroy America, and so we would have Sharia law. That's what a lot of Republicans do believe that, and it's that similar kind of thing. Oh,
Which is why after 8 years of Obama, you can see women being buried up to their necks in the street, and there's people going down the street with guns, and
yes,
women can't drive and work anymore. Oh wait, none of that happened.
Aren't you tired of wearing a burqa every day now that you've been forced to by Barack
it's
Obama?
so hot. It's so hot. Oh, wait a minute.
I have to challenge one thing though. You said people
that
walking
didn't
down
happen.
you said people walking down the street with guns. What guns? Obama had the UN send in the black helicopters and confiscate everyone's guns.
But you said we were going to turn into like every other country, so that means
yes,
there'll be guns in the street and kites flying Molotov cocktails.
I had someone say to me,
8 years. I don't see it. I don't see the evidence. I think that you are full of malarkey.
Obviously I'm being sarcastic just so everyone's clear, but I did have someone say to me, and I told you about this before, but I won't reveal the identity because it was an off-air conversation. It is someone you know. It bums me out in a way because it's someone I like, but this person said to me, she was talking about Dearborn, Michigan. I guess there's a lot of Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan, and it's so people are freaked out by it. And she said to me, and this was a few years ago, she said, before long, it's like they're going to be everywhere. You're not going to be able to leave your house without having your head cut off by a Muslim.
Oh my
it's like,
God!
And she did have the crazy eyes going when she said this to me. The bug-eyed, because she was completely serious, and it's like, yeah, you're a little nuts.
You should tell her to stay out of the hospital.
Do you know who I'm talking about? Don't say it, but do you know who I'm talking about? Do you remember?
No.
It's someone you know. We'll leave it at that.
You can tell me later when I'm not.
I don't want to embarrass them.
Definitely don't tell me before I eat.
And it's someone I actually like, so I especially don't want to embarrass her.
But that's when people, what that goes back to, though, what we're seeing in our environment today about how people are just out there. They're frank and they're blunt and they're out there with their bigotry, with their, nasty commentary. And it's not like things used to be. I guess, I don't know, keep it behind closed doors, whatever. But people used to be more polite to one another, more respectful to one another. And now we're just getting more and more hateful. Like what you said, oh, there's too many Muslims going to be in there. It really?
Yeah, it's all silly. And it's...
Well, there's too many Catholics on the East Coast.
Well, although based on the conversation that was going on the morning show, maybe there are.
This is true.
I was raised Catholic, so I can say that. I can make that joke without being accused of anti-Catholic bigotry. But I haven't been to a church in a long time because, I don't particularly approve of some of what has gotten their tacit approval. And by tacit approval, I just mean things that they fail to address.
Yeah, because it didn't do anything, and it's been decades upon decades.
Yeah, it'll never be done.
No, it'll never be done.
Well, we should move on to something kind of fun. Sebastian Gorka, who is speaking of right-wingers, who is a former Trump aide, who is now makes frequent appearances on Fox News. Apparently, he wants to impress everyone with his. He had some phony business cards made. I love this story.
Seriously,
this is from Mediaite.
It's not an onion.
No, this is real.
Oh boy.
Ex-Trump aide Sebastian Gorka is giving out fake Fox News business cards. Says here, President Donald Trump's former aide Sebastian Gorka is giving out phony Fox News business cards. Mediaite has learned. Gorka, who was fired from his nebulous role at the White House late last year, has been giving out business cards that include his personal information, like his Gmail address and cell phone number, well as a poorly edited and outdated Fox News logo.
He learned a few things at Trump University.
I'm sure he did. Yes. And by the way, it does have, if for anyone who wants to see it, you know what? I'll go ahead and put the link into the story in the Facebook live chat, because you can see you can see for yourself the evidence. Yeah, apparently he didn't. I mean, if you're gonna go to the trouble to try to fake something for your own credibility, don't undermine your own credibility by doing a poor job of the fakery. I mean, it's like,
how about just don't do that?
I mean, it would be like if you were to counterfeit money. And do you remember there was an episode of All in the Family? I think it was All in the Family, where there was counterfeit money, like somebody had given Archie counterfeit money.
Yeah,
And
didn't Edith get like arrested or something with it?
Something happened, yeah, because but then there
you
was
know, the young people listening to us have no clue what we're talking about right now. We just told everybody how old we are.
I don't know. If you mention Archie Bunker to people, I think even young people kind of know. Even if they've never seen All in the Family, they know who Archie Bunker is. It's
if
interesting.
you are under the age of 26 and you know who Archie Bunker is,
you might be surprised. You might be surprised. But yeah, there was that episode where there was counterfeit money, and it turned out on the money there was an obvious mistake. It said "In dog we trust," and that's how you could tell it was fake. So, but yeah, Sebastian Gorka, maybe he's just not a big details guy. Maybe I'm not a big details guy. I can't get his last name correct. So the card reads Sebastian Gorka, PhD. Gorka goes by Dr. Gorka on Fox News, where he serves as a contributor.
Does he have a PhD?
Well, if it's from Trump University, that's as good as any, I guess. When compared to a real current Fox News business card, Gorka's does not pass a cross-examination test. As one can see, and again, I did post a link in the Facebook live chat. Now, I'll post it to the general Matt Connarton Unleashed page, too, after the show for anyone who listens to this later. As one can see, a real card includes Fox News' current logo, which adds the channel part of the company's name and features searchlights on only one side of the logo instead of both. Mediaite was informed about Gorka's custom-made stationery by a reporter working for a prestige print publication who was given a card by the pro-Trump pundit.
And why? You know you're going to get caught. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, this reporter noticed it was not a legitimate Fox News card.
Well, duh.
Fox News and Gorka were contacted for comment on this story, but neither responded in time for publication. While a homespun business card might seem like a minor controversy, especially for Gorka, whose other controversies include wearing the badge of a Nazi-aligned group and shoving a reporter on camera, Fox News does not play games when it comes to guests or contributors abusing their brand name. Gorka's latest mishap comes at a time when the pundit is no longer welcome on Fox News' hard news programs, according to a report from the Daily Beast. This means that Gorka is limited to spouting off his MAGA hot takes on opinion shows like Hannity and Justice with Judge Jeanine.
It's a start, but he needs to get off the rest of them.
Well, they'll probably boot him off all of them now. Despite being ousted from the White House by Chief of Staff John Kelly last August, Gorka appears to still have the president's attention. Sources who spoke to the Daily Beast told the outlet that Trump loves seeing Gorka on TV and often talks about his appearances to White House staffers. In March, the Daily Beast reported that Gorka even had a White House dinner with the president since Trump, quote, couldn't get enough of him on TV, unquote. Wow.
That sounds wrong. That just sounds so wrong.
He loves him. He loves him bigly.
Couldn't get enough of him, huh?
I think it's sweet.
No.
Hello to Chris Rose, who joins us in the Facebook live chat.
Hello.
Oh,
welcome.
Hey, Chris, I don't know if you heard from Glenn. I hate to, this is a downer, but I just learned, and some people listening locally here in Manchester will know who this person is. Apparently, this was, Glenn informed me of this. Apparently, our friend R.J. Norton has passed away. And Chris, of course, remembers who R.J. is from back in the days when we used to do a little nighttime version of We'll Let It Large.
I'm sorry.
RJ was frequently on the show, and he would run one of the cameras. And, a lot of good times with that gentleman. Glenn told me apparently he passed away recently at the age of 79. So I was very sad to hear that yesterday.
Well, hearts and prayers to them and their family.
Absolutely. Well, here I don't mean to bring the show down. So let's do something else fun. Here's a fun story too. Well, actually, it depends on your perspective. This will be either fun or terrifying. And if you're terrified by this, you might be terrified for a couple of different reasons. I'm going to hope that this gentleman is incorrect in his prognostication. But according to rightwingwatch.org, my favorite website, and hopefully yours, Pat Robertson says, time's up. God is going to destroy America. God has suffered his final indignity, and he is done with us. He's going to destroy America. But it's not even for exactly the reason. I mean,
no, this is a man that is counting what he has left and trying to take everybody with him.
Yes. Well, I think he means well. Chris Rose says that's a shame about RJ. Such a nice guy. Yes, absolutely. I agree. But according to Pat Robertson, we may all be dead soon. God's about to bring the hammer down, but it isn't exactly for the reason you might suspect. Now, normally when God is angry at America, and we know when God's angry at America because that's why there's severe weather like, terrible hurricanes and things like that. It's because God is angry. And we know, I mean, when God is angry, why is he usually angry? Well, it's usually for one reason, the gays. God's very upset that we have gay people in America and that we treat them like human beings deserving of respect and rights like everyone else. This is very upsetting to God. And it's unfortunate. I mean, I would prefer it if God would be a little bit merciful with us. I mean, but we're all going to have to pay for everyone's gayness, I guess. It's a shame. But this is what is finally set God off, according to Pat Robertson. According to Pat Robertson, there's something called the Drag Queen Story Hour. And
what?
And this is the final straw. And this will lead to God's ultimate judgment on America. According to rightwingwatch.org, today on the 700 Club, a segment about Drag Queen Story Hour prompted televangelist host Pat Robertson to warn that God is going to destroy America. Again, this is terrifying. I hope this is wrong. But I think Pat Robertson, I mean, we can generally trust his, actually, he's never right with his predictions. Never mind. Drag Queen Story Hour, as its name suggests, involves drag queens reading stories to children in libraries, bookstores, and schools, and Robertson could barely hide his disgust at the idea. Oh, my goodness.
He is an absolute idiot.
Drag queens reading to children. My goodness. Well, here, I'll tell you what. Let's hear from Reverend Robertson in his own words, and then and then we can discuss.
I'm gonna pipe it through.
You ought to do something about it. It's an outrage. Little teeny children, as young as 2 years old, being exposed to cross-dressers, homosexuals who dress up as women and are called so-called drag queen. You say, well,
what?
I just love the way he says that. Drag queen. By the way, so there's more to the clip, but I have to interrupt for a moment. It is a common misconception, and I suppose it should be a shock to none of us that Pat Robertson falls for this. There is a common misconception that quote-unquote drag queens are gay, as Pat Robertson himself says, these homosexual drag queens. That's actually not true. Cross-dressers very often are heterosexual.
Guess what? They
just
come in all different kinds.
Yeah, cross-dressers are
some
not...
Some are straight,
Yeah.
some are gay, some are bi, some are... Guess what? Different flavors.
Yeah, my understanding from what I've read statistically, most cross-dressers are not gay. It's a fetish. They're heterosexual men who just happen to enjoy wearing women's clothing, and it's got nothing to do with their sexual preference.
And have you seen some of these guys? Oh my God, they're amazing. They have incredible voices. They put on a great show. I mean,
they're fabulous.
I've seen a few where I'm sitting there going, boy, she looks better than I do.
Oh, my goodness.
Jeez.
Well, let's hear the rest. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start the clip from the beginning because we only got 23 seconds in before I had to comment. But I want to make sure
I can
that
only imagine why.
I want to make sure that we receive fully all of this man's wisdom. Because nothing about him strikes me as a crazy old fool. I don't know how you feel about it. To me, I mean, he's just trying to help. He's trying to help us to avoid the destruction of America by a God who's very angry about these cross-dressing people who want to read to kids.
Story should shock the daylights out. I mean, you ought to do something about it. It's an outrage. Little teeny children, as young as 2 years old, being exposed to cross-dressers, homosexuals who dress up as women and are called so-called drag queen. You say, well, that's something maybe for some weird television show or something, but no, it's from us, it's a few miles away from this place where I'm sitting right now in the studio.
Wait, what?
What?
A few miles away from where he is in that studio, there are drag queens.
How does he know where they're located?
How does he know?
Does he frequent?
That is terrifying. I mean, can you imagine how frightening that is? He might as well be just a few feet away from a portal to hell itself. I mean, my goodness, this poor man.
There's a library where
Mm.
they're hosting these events.
Oh.
Where men are dressed as women.
In
and they've
a
got all kinds of
library.
makeup on, and they're men acting like women. And they used to,
What
in
is acting
San
like a
Francisco,
woman?
used to call them he, she's. And
geez.
they're reading books to children. And it's called the Drag Queen Story Hour. Well, you'd better get outraged about this, and many people are, but library officials
and send
started
him more
a
money.
recent event in Virginia and said it fits their city's vision of inclusion and diversity. Give me a break. If
He
you read the Bible...
You give me a break. Oh, my God.
Well,
that man he incenses me. He has incensed me since I was in my 20s.
I just, it's so hard to take him. He's like the, it's so hard to take him seriously.
But here's the thing: I used to like the guy.
I can't even get mad at him. You used to like him. Oh,
well,
that's interesting.
when I was a little girl, my grandma Gandon loved to watch it, and we would go over, and I would sit at her feet, and she would put the 700 Club on, and we'd watch it together. You know, and it was sweet, and it was great, and I loved Graham, and it was good time with her. And a lot of people might notice now, you see on the news, or not on the news, but in commercials, about a disease called endometriosis that affects 1 in 4 women. I believe it's 1 in 4. 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 women get endometriosis. And it's a big deal. I have it. It is not a fun thing to have. It took over 10 years for me to get diagnosed appropriately. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 20. And I will never, ever, ever forget seeing that man on television telling people that endometriosis was caused by a sexually transmitted disease. And all I could think about was this little girl who's 12, 13 years old, getting her menstruation cycle early, which happens often with endometriosis. Endometriosis is a genetic disorder. It is not something you can acquire. You either have it or you don't. And, I mean, can you imagine if you're a parent who follows him and believes what he says, and he says endometriosis is a sexually transmitted disease, and your child is sitting there going, but I've never had intercourse, I'm still a virgin, I've never done this, and the parent is going to sit there and go, oh, you're lying. You're
Right.
lying because I heard it on the 700 Club.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that goes on.
You know,
Yeah.
and here we are now, and it's 27 years later, and I just now get to see commercials on TV and on radio, and there's more on social media about endometriosis. There's more awareness about it, and people are getting diagnosed sooner in life, and people understand it's not something you can acquire, it's something you're born with. This is what we know now. And it's been almost 3 decades since I watched that man sit on television and tell the world endometriosis is caused by sexually transmitted disease.
Mm.
In my mind's eye, he could have caused young girls to commit suicide because their parents didn't believe them. There could have been beatings. There could have been all kinds of things that occurred because of his unscientific malarkey that he put out there.
NASCAR Nicey in the Facebook live chat says some people still believe that wrestling is real too. Nah, I don't know if that's true.
I think it's real in the sense of acrobatics and stunt work.
Yeah, I think even even in some trailer park in Arkansas, I think they understand that it's entertainment, but maybe not. Well, here, let's hear the rest of Pat Robertson, because he's getting to the part where he mentioned the Bible. I think he's going to explain to us and this would be good to know exactly where in the Bible it says that you cannot allow drag queens to read to children.
There are a couple of cities where the men tried to have sex with angels who were then as male figures, and God
That's actually, a lot of people don't know this. That's what Angel by Aerosmith is about. Remember that song? You're my angel. It's about sex with angels.
No,
it was Steven Tyler wrote the lyrics after a conversation with Pat Robertson. Well, a lot of people don't know that story. I read it online.
No, it isn't.
I read it online somewhere, so I know it's true.
destroyed those cities.
That's a Matt
And
Connarton
the
onion
crime
moment.
was called, subsequent to that, was called sodomy. This whole thing is just an outrage. It's an affront in the eyes of God.
Sodomy? You hardly know me. That's a little joke there.
And I think that's what
The camera
we're
on
trying
you.
to do, is to stick our fingers in God's eyes and say, okay, Lord, you thought you were making people men and women. And that's what the Bible says, male and female, he made them, as part of his creation. But we're going to fix it so that we're going to confuse the sexes. We're going to confuse everything you're doing, and then
that's
we're
his
going to murder
excuse
as much
for being
as
a
if we
closet
have offspring
homosexual.
as a result of our sexual activity out of marriage. We're going to kill the offspring, and we'll stick our fingers in your eye and show you who's boss. That was the original crime. That's what led to the destruction of the Tower of Babel, and it's what led to the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. And the United States of America is on very slippery ground.
Ooh.
I did a little feature with Scott Ross, and we'll talk about how to be blessable. That's one of the things we're going to make available. But one of the things was, God bless America. How is God going to bless America if we put our finger in his eyes repeatedly? And that's what we're doing. So it's not just
So him and
some
this other guy
library
are
that's
doing
going
a
to
Three
be in trouble.
Stooges
It's the
thing to
whole
God.
population when God brings judgment.
Well, no, the rest of us are. Now, Pat Robertson, though, I like to bring
I
this.
wonder if they've tested him for dementia or Alzheimer's.
Well,
lately.
he's pretty. I mean, he's in his 80s. He's But I will say that one thing though about Pat Robertson, one thing that always surprises me, and I know I've brought this up on the show before, but one odd thing I'll give him credit for, and it's so strange. I don't know why in this one area. Hello to. By the way, John, this is a new name I'm seeing in the Facebook live chat. John Grandal Jr. Sorry if I'm saying your last name incorrectly. He says in Dover, New Hampshire, listening today. So welcome, John.
Hey, welcome.
The one odd thing about Pat Robertson that's interesting is he, of all people, Pat Robertson does not believe in creationism.
What? Yes, he does.
No, he does not.
Yes, he does.
No, I can find the audio. I can prove it to you. Of all people,
I've heard him talk about it.
No, he. That doesn't mean he necessarily buys all into evolution, but he does not believe in creationism. He does not believe that the creation story in the Bible is to be taken literally.
He just got through saying, and God created man and woman, and God created man and woman. He totally believes in creation.
No. He's not a creationist. He doesn't believe God created the earth. I'll see if I can find the clip. He does not believe that God created the earth in 6 days.
I don't believe you.
It's true. And he even says that young earth, they call them young earth Christians. He says that young earth Christians are naive and that we should believe the science. Because I guess basically he believes, and nobody uses this term anymore, but intelligent design, which was sort of the compromise between creationism and evolution, which says, okay, maybe evolution's real, but it was guided by the hand of God. And they come up with other things too, like maybe what is 6 days in the Bible isn't a literal 6 days. It's not a literal 24 hours, but it's 6 days in the existence of God, which is different. But no, I'll see if I can find it, but Pat Robertson is not a creationist, which is so surprising because you would think if anyone would be.
I've heard him talk about that in school systems where he was complaining.
I found it. Listen to this.
Get out.
Actually, there's an ad. Let me get past the ad.
He complained about God being taken out of schools and
but that's
teaching bogus science on how the world was created.
No. Listen, that's not the same as though rejecting. Okay, hang on. There's other stuff in this clip. Okay, here we go. I was trying to get it to the right place here. I think I got it.
There was a bishop in the Middle Ages there, 1800 something, who added up the dates listed in Genesis, and he came up with the world had been around for 6,000 years. There ain't no way that's possible. Anybody that's in the oil business knows that he's drilling down. He drilled down 2,000.
He just doesn't want to be accused of being a Jew. That's his problem.
No, listen.
Yes, because we're at year 5,778, I believe.
No. That's hear him out. Hear him out. You're going to be surprised.
2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles underground. You're coming into all these layers that were laid down by the dinosaurs, and we have skeletons of dinosaurs that go back about 65 million years. And to say that it all came about in 6,000 years is just nonsense. And I think the time we come off of that stuff and say this isn't possible. But I mean, so there was a Big Bang. So that doesn't mean it came spontaneously. Nobody knows what caused the Big Bang, but I say God did it. God's in charge of all this. God's in control, and he is the author of all life. But we've got to be realistic that the dating of Bishop Ussher just doesn't comport with anything that is found in science. And you can't just totally deny the geological formations that are out there, the rock formations and all the things that go all over the world, especially the bones. And we have found a Pterosaurus rex out there in Oregon or someplace, a full skeleton. And that baby was laid down about 65 million years ago. So I mean, let's be real. Let's not make a joke of ourselves. But I don't believe in so-called evolution as is currently presented as non-theistic. I believe that God started it all, and he's in charge of all of it. But the fact that you have the progressive evolution under his control, that doesn't hurt my faith at all. But this thing, we just can't be playing this Ussher. Bishop Ussher, God bless him, rest his soul in peace. He was just off.
I don't know. I think he's trying to say the same thing that we said earlier, just in a different way. That time is not measured by the level, by the way that man measures it.
But he said it. He said dinosaur fossils going back 65 million years.
No,
and we can't ignore that. He's acknowledging the science. He says the science is real. He's just making
he's comparing it. He's saying there's no way the world is 5,000 or 6,000 years old. What is a year?
But he's saying it's at least 65 million, according to him. He's saying we've got dinosaur fossils that go back at least 65
But
million years.
He's qualifying it with what? We mean,
He's just making the intelligent design argument.
In his opinion, a year is 12 months, so there's no way it's 6,000. So there's no way that that's it. Whereas a year could have been a millennium and dinosaurs and
No, that's not what he's saying. I think you're overthinking and you're overcomplicating what he's saying. What he's saying is the science is true, and that and creationism
I don't disagree with science.
And creationism is false. In fact, the title
Einstein agreed with intelligent design.
In fact, the title of this article, the title of this video is Pat Robertson says young Earth creationism is a joke. And he did say that. Yeah, no, he's not a creationist. He's an intelligent designist. He thinks that.
And that's what he wants taught in school, that the world was created by God intelligently and so forth. And that's where the issue lies there, because public schools, who have students who are from multiple faiths and have multiple stories of how the world began, and no school, no person has the right to step into a family's life and say, "Oh, you're teaching your kids wrong."
Oh yeah, I don't want any of that nonsense taught in public schools. I'm just giving him a tiny bit of credit though, because of all
I don't really think
people,
it's credit worthy.
Of all people though, it's just shocking to me, of all people to not be a creationist and to be at least enlightened enough to acknowledge the science and believe the science. Pat Robertson is like literally the last guy on earth I would expect to be enlightened in that way, and it's shocking to me.
He acknowledges to the science to a point.
He pretty much,
it's not like science.
He pretty much does, yeah.
Science says X and Y happened, and life started developing, and things just kept going, and things just kept changing, and it was random, and it just happened to occur. He says God created everything. Everything was planned, intelligently designed. It's not the same thing.
No, it's not. But I'm just saying, though, anyone else who operates...
So that's why I don't give him this credit you're giving him, because he's still saying the same thing. He's just adding some science in.
But I'm just saying, anyone else who operates in that sphere that he operates in is a creationist. Like, I guarantee you, anyone else who goes on his little show, the 700 Club...
He is a creationist.
He's not a creationist.
He is too. Intelligent design is creation.
No, I disagree. Creationists believe that you take the creation story in the Bible literally. 6 days, boom. And then on the seventh day, God took a break because I don't know. I don't know if he's like.
I don't know who told you that line, but I mean,
on the seventh day, God rested.
People have been arguing about whether or not a day was a day or an hour or a year or a decade or a millennial for ever.
I think he's part of a union. He's in the deities union, and they're required to have a day off. I say good for him. I'm pro-union. What?
Just give up.
Just having a theological discussion. I don't know what the problem is.
But by saying that he believes that God created man and woman and earth and all the creatures on the land, and it was intelligently designed, he is a creationalist. Otherwise, you tell me, what is intelligent design?
I told you, intelligent design is the compromise between creationism and science.
No, it's not. If you claim that somebody thought it up and developed it and call that intelligent design, that's the same thing as somebody thought it up and created it.
I think your definition of creationism is different than the general accepted definition. I think
the general accepted definition.
I think most people, if you ask them what a creationist is, they'll tell you that
they're going to agree that intelligent design is the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing.
Something or entity or alien or whatever creating the world.
Some alien. No.
Well, no, you have to include the lizard people.
No, intelligent design
and the Anunnaki.
Intelligent designists do not believe in lizard people and the Anunnaki.
On the Anunnaki, they believe there were aliens that came and taught human beings how to do things.
Conspiracy theorists believe that, not intelligent designists.
Intelligent design believes that a entity of some sort created the world and everything that lives on it.
Not an entity of some sort, literally God.
Okay.
There's no aliens involved or anything like that.
There you are agreeing with me again that it's a creationalist.
No, that's no. A creationist believes you take the creation story in the Bible literally. 6 days. Boom. No dinosaurs. Not
Okay.
Creationists do not believe in dinosaurs.
Okay.
Pat Robertson believes in dinosaurs.
Just
Creationists
because the
do
only
not.
thing that you've ever read is the King James version of the Bible. You've never actually read the Talmud. You've never read that. You've
That's
never
got
read
nothing
the
to do with
real
what a
Old
creationist
Testament,
is.
where there are words like giant, where there are words in there that have been altered in the King James version and other Christian versions of the Bible. The Old Testament in the Christian Bible is not the Talmud of the Jews. It has been altered. It has been changed.
I'm just okay. You're going off on a tangent. I'm
so
just saying.
no,
I'm just saying
not.
what creationists believe. That's all.
It says God created
You're not the slightest
heaven
bit-
and God created light and dark. God created the planet. God created the moon and the stars. God created all of the animals and the people. That is intelligent design. That is creating things.
You're not the slightest bit surprised that Pat Robertson believes in dinosaurs? He's the last guy I would expect to believe in dinosaurs. And
think
the dinosaurs
a lot of
roamed the earth
people-
65 million years ago.
I think a lot of people who believe in a deity know what we would call it God, Hashem, what your word is to
I call
define the divine.
I call him Bob.
Created the dinosaurs too.
Yeah, that's what intelligent designists believe, but that's not what creationists believe. Creationists don't believe in dinosaurs. Creationists think that dinosaur fossils were put there by Satan to confuse us. That literally is what creationists believe.
No.
That's what they believe.
Some believe that dinosaurs were created by God.
No, intelligent designists believe
And they
that,
didn't
not
make it on the
creationists.
boat. They drowned.
The boat? Noah's boat? No, that was no, because they don't
Only
believe.
the animals that made it on the boat lived.
Right? Yeah, animals
Everybody else died.
animals like horses and elephants and stuff, not dinosaurs.
What about unicorns?
Supposedly, unicorn. I hear people say every once in a while that unicorns are in the Bible. Is that true? I don't know.
Yes.
They are in the Bible. Okay.
I believe so.
NASCAR Nicey in the Facebook live chat says the gay dinosaurs did it. No. I don't think you're never going to convince Pat Robertson that he acknowledges dinosaurs, but he did not say anything about gay.
I'm with NASCAR because let me tell you,
Those dinosaurs were.
I think that
Those dinosaurs.
Robertson is a total closet.
Those dinosaurs were as heterosexual as it gets.
No.
Wait a minute. No.
Robertson was dying for a dinosaur.
No. Nicey might be onto something. Because why did the dinosaurs get destroyed? They were gay.
So God sent an asteroid to kill them.
They were probably here in America, too.
So
they
it's
were
like
probably,
the dinosaurs version of the story of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Well, they were probably American dinosaurs, and they probably allowed the gay dinosaurs to have the same rights as the heterosexual dinosaurs, and that was probably the first time. Maybe that's what the flood was really about. And
Christian Connarton, who's in the chat room, says hi to us, but also says we still have dinosaurs today: alligators, crocodiles, lizards, birds, sharks, etc. And Naz said that's what I'm saying, and you know what? I agree because that's where they develop from, right? Like a lynx is the descendant of the modern day house cat, domesticated cat, is a lynx, descendant of the lynx.
I had a Mercury Lynx. That was my first car.
Okay, dokie. Not quite the same thing, but okie dokie.
I was descended from dinosaurs.
Were you waving at a ghost or something?
I was waving at Glenn R.J. Willett, the people's mayor. I was hoping he'd stop in. It's always fun to hear from Glenn.
He's still mad?
No, he was on the show yesterday. He just didn't want to discuss his impending nuptials. He said it's no one's business. But he is denying And I think it's only because he's holding off on making the official announcement. He continues to deny that he's running for mayor of Africa.
I think he just doesn't want me to get to officiate the ceremony.
Why?
I think he's just being stubborn.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah. He's in a mood.
Well.
Must be that time.
What do you mean? What time?
That time of the month. In the mood.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, that's what you guys say to girls all the time, so I guess,
You're talking about the people's mayor, Glenn R.J. Willett.
doesn't mean he doesn't have a time of the month.
Why would he have that?
Why wouldn't he?
You think Glenn R.J. Willett has a time of the month?
I think all of you do.
Oh. Right. Oh, my goodness.
I mean, we know you do. You go through those phases where, boy, you can't fill your stomach up enough, and that's one of the symptoms,
That's all the time. I've told you, it's my stomach's world. You all just live in it. Jeepers. Well, I think we should take a quick break and play something. It is the top of the hour.
It is.
And actually, I want to play this because I really like this a lot, and I didn't get a chance to play it yesterday because I ran out of time. It's a song that Fred sent me. Fred Bonig from the dailyripple.org. And he also hosts a show called The Last Chance Medicine Show, but he sends me a ton of great stuff. So we'll take a break and we'll listen to this. This is by Grant Peoples, and this is called This Could Be a Long Night. And then we'll come back with more Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM. We'll be right back.
This could be a long
Please give that a like if you haven't done so already. Hello to, I think I acknowledged Christian Cunard before.
I did.
Oh, you did. Also,
I did.
Corey R. Maddox joins us in the Facebook live chat.
Hello.
So there's another new person I don't recall seeing in there before, so always happy to see that. Give us a call if you'd like, 603-250-6007, anytime during the next 54 minutes or so, 603-250-6007.
Now, you know we're going to have to talk about this. We got to talk about Trump's tweet yesterday.
Oh, were you listening, by the way? Speaking of the tweet about Omarosa, were you listening when Scumpy called in? Jeff Scumpy Lorenz.
I did not hear that part.
He's often on the morning show. In fact, he was on the morning show this morning.
No, I know who he is. Absolutely.
But he called in about Trump's tweeting, and I must say it was the strongest rebuke I have heard yet of Trump's behavior from someone who is an ardent Trump supporter. Scumpy's very pro-Trump, really likes what Trump's doing, but he's really just had it with Trump's the way Trump lashes out and insults people and all of that.
Well, for those who haven't heard it, because we know how much he tweets, you might have missed it. So I'm going to give this is the tweet as reported in USA Today. When you give a crazed, crying lowlife a break and give her a job at the White House, I guess it just didn't work out. Good work by General Kelly for quickly firing that dog. End quote.
Yep.
Now, I know some people are starting to take this in a different direction, but what does the guy call a girl he doesn't find attractive? 9 out of 10. You know, they'll refer to him as ugly or a dog or something like that. I don't think his comment was racially motivated. I think his comment is completely 100% sexist, misogynistic, inappropriate, and when I'm living in the twilight zone where I have a president who's consistently saying things that are absolutely inappropriate to be said. And I mean, do you think that's people are saying it's racially motivated. Do you think it's racially motivated, or do you think it's a sexist comment? Or do you think it's something else altogether?
No, I think it's sexist. I mean, he's certainly not shy. Well, the thing is, though, who really knows? Because it's funny. I find myself, I was about to say, well, he's certainly not shy about saying, about insulting women, historically, like Rosie O'Donnell. And I remember the tweet, the horrifying tweet about Mika Brzezinski, her bleeding face after a facelift and things like that. But then again, as I say that, I also find myself recalling that he's also not shy about picking on people of color, whether it's picking a fight with LeBron James or calling
or people who are disabled.
Or people who are disabled, but I was going to say too, people of color, calling the black players kneeling at the NFL games, SOBs, things like that. So who really knows? It might not be any of those things. It might just be him lashing out with the first insult that pops into his head. It might be all of those things. It might be both racially and sexist and whatever else. Who knows? I mean, but it is interesting that according to him now, Omarosa was crying and upset and begging for a job, and so what does that say about his judgment? Giving this person a job that I guess he felt pity for or whatnot. I thought he was going to surround himself with the best people. Didn't he say that during the campaign? I'm going to surround myself with the best people. The best people. I'm going to have the best team.
And Reuters is reporting that it's, and so is the Business Insider, that it's completely backfiring on him. He made a dumb response by saying low life and calling her a dog.
Mm-hmm.
That approach is completely backfiring on him. People are completely upset. The publicity on her tour for her new book is perfect.
Oh, yeah.
That book is going to sell like this no tomorrow.
Yep, Trump just
He's helping her.
He just feeds into it.
Absolutely. Now she has made some contradictions. There's credibility issues on both sides, as far as I'm
Oh,
concerned.
absolutely. Well, they're birds of a feather.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, she modeled herself after him.
He really thought this thing was just going to blow over. But all he's done is raised her profile even more, made her name more household known, outside of the United States known, and I'm sure that her book sales are actually good. If she doesn't end up on the New York Times bestseller list within the first 2 weeks of release, I'll be very surprised.
Well, you know, they even, I'll play this clip. They even said that on Fox and Friends. One of the, you know, you've got, of course, Fox and Friends. You've got Steve Doocy. I'm never sure if I'm saying his last name quite correctly.
I never like the way you say it. It just sounds wrong.
Yeah, but I think it's Doocy. So you've got Steve Doocy, Brian Kilme. I'm not sure I'm saying his name quite right either. And of course, the token blonde who sits in the middle.
Somebody's a Kilme. Somebody's a Doocy.
Yeah. And you've got the token blonde who sits in the middle. Which
Wait a minute. She's got a name.
See, you might think that sounds sexist when I say that, but that's the Fox and Friends formula from the beginning. For 20 years, you've got
That
Doocy.
doesn't mean she doesn't have a name.
I don't know what her name is, but you've got Doocy, Kilme,
You know what
and the
the other
token
two
blonde.
names are.
Yeah, because they're the ones who are always there. The token blonde is interchangeable.
You're more attracted to the guys, that's why.
Steve Doocy is, look, I'm secure enough in my masculinity. I'll say Steve Doocy is a sexy beast. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton. Maybe this is him. Welcome to Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon. Hang on. I should probably answer the phone. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon. Who's on the line?
Hello?
Hello?
Matt?
Yes? Who's this?
Yeah, you're breaking up. This is Grant Peoples. I was just calling.
Grant Peoples. Is this really
you?
You?
Played a song of mine.
I did.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You're just breaking up. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know why. Oh, he hung up.
We could hear him.
Was that actually Grant Peoples?
I don't know.
He's famous.
Be great if it was. Call back.
I mean, Steve Doocy is also famous, but if that was Grant Peoples calling,
Matt plays your music all the time.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I have played at least one other of his songs. I wonder if Fred told him to call in.
I don't know.
Fred made a comment in the Facebook live chat. He said they changed the females, and each word is capitalized. Is that the name of a band? I'm confused.
I'm really not sure.
I wonder if Fred told him to call, because Fred knows him. Fred knows everybody in that genre of music. Okay, but here I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this clip. So this is Brian Kilme. You know, they're very careful. They don't like to criticize Daddy on Fox and Friends, but every once in a while they will. So here's Brian saying what you were just saying. Oh, except I have no volume. What's going on here?
The series of tapes.
Here we go.
In many ways seems to have outsmarted the president, who's taken the bait and gone out and tweeted directly after her. After the president came out and gave Michael Wolff millions of dollars by going after his book, he seems to be doing the same thing with Omarosa's book.
Well, yesterday was the White House press briefing, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders was forced to answer questions about this. A few questions about Afghanistan, China, South America, ISIS, Mueller, and Turkey. But the majority, like 4 times the amount of questions, were about Omarosa. The media is obsessed with it. Listen.
We've heard from the president via Twitter on Omarosa.
You expressed how you feel about Omarosa.
The president said he kept Omarosa on despite complaints from her colleagues.
You said one of the motives for Omarosa was to tear this entire place down.
Are you saying you would like the president to stop tweeting about Omarosa?
Omarosa. Omarosa.
Omarosa.
Omarosa.
Omarosa.
Omarosa is a topic that Sarah Huckabee addressed, but she'd rather talk about policy.
the individuals in this room continue to create a large platform for somebody they know not to have a lot of credibility, for someone they frankly refuse to give a platform to when they worked here at the White House. It wasn't until this individual started to negatively attack this president and this administration and try to tear this entire place down that she received the type of platform and rollout that she's getting. I think it would be great if every single person in this room and every single person in the administration never had to talk about this again. And
yeah, tell your boss to stop tweeting about her. Right?
That hasn't worked for any reason.
Well, that's true.
At all.
We actually got
That's true.
to focus on the real policies and the real things that
We'd
not
like
matter
to.
just to people in this building, but certainly all Americans.
But
Hey,
I just
guess
think if the
what?
president tweeted.
All Americans want to talk about the real issues, not Omarosa.
Here's more of Brian Kilme.
In this room, and every single person in the administration never had to talk about this again, and we actually got to focus on the real policies and the real things that not matter just to
I backed up too far. Hang
people
on.
in this building, but certainly all Americans.
But I just think if the president tweeted about Turkey and the legitimate national security interests that are around there, and the Christian pastor and the Kurds and the electronic reverberations there, but I think the president should do the Eminem thing. Eminem went after him, sang about him, tried to bait the president into some type of war. The president didn't take the bait, and Eminem is now anonymous, living off what he did in 2000.
That's true, by the way. Well, except for the part about Eminem is now anonymous and living off his past. But Kilme makes a good point there. How come when Eminem attacked Trump, Trump didn't fire back?
Probably for the same reason that no other rappers do. Even Snoop Dogg said nobody messes with Eminem.
Yeah, but it's interesting that Trump in that instance had the
Probably
discipline.
because if he did, it might have taken a few people to convince him. But if he had done anything, Eminem would have shredded him.
Oh, of course. Yeah, there would have been a part 2 and all that. But
oh, absolutely.
But Kilme is right, and I mean he's saying the same thing that you were saying.
Yep.
Also on Fox. Now this was interesting. So and I don't know much about this guy Ed Henry, but he posts Fox. He hosts Fox News at night. This is a short clip. He's talking with Katrina Pearson, who does not work in the White House, from what I understand, but she's part of Trump's re-election campaign, and so she's making the rounds, having to. Try to fend off Omarosa's attack and do all this damage control. And Ed Henry, to his credit, hello to Archie Frangudis, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Ed Henry, to his credit, he really kind of, well, listen, I'm just going to play the clip. And again, this comes out of Fox, so I was a little bit surprised. But this is good. This is only about a minute long. But listen to what he says to her.
Out this tape, and it is true that we cannot move forward with this without it.
So you just used the term dog. The president called Omarosa a dog. I was talking to you before the show. You have a son. You always, in private, talk to me about him. You love him very much. I'm going to leave the president out of this. Do you raise your son to call a woman, any woman in this country, a dog?
Well, this isn't about my son.
No,
we're talking
I'm not gonna
about
let you do that.
no. We're talking about
Would it
someone
be appropriate
who
for your
built her
son or for
entire
me?
career
Okay, we'll leave your
off
son
of
out
this
of it.
man.
Pardon me.
This is a
Pardon me.
personal issue
Pardon me.
between
It's not your
Donald
show.
Trump
Pardon
and
me.
Omarosa.
Let's leave your son out of it then, and we'll leave the president out of it. Would it be appropriate for me to call a woman a dog? Yes or no?
It depends on what she did to you, Ed.
depends?
It depends on what she did to you.
Calling
I
a
don't know
woman
what
a
she did
dog?
to you. Omarosa bit the hand that fed her. To me, that's what a dog is. The president has referenced several men as dogs, like Ted Cruz, like Mitt Romney, like Brent Bozell. He has said this to a number of people. This is not just for Omarosa.
Take off your Trump hat. As a woman, you think it's appropriate for any man to call a woman a dog? Really?
Look, as a woman,
Good for
as
him.
a strong black woman, I think everyone should be able to defend themselves the best way they see fit, Ed.
Katrina Pearson, I appreciate it.
Oh my God! Could you say run around any further?
Yeah, good for him though. Right?
He kept their feet to the fire.
And you know what? And I remember watching that too and thinking, you know what?
I was cringing.
My parents taught me, not to call a woman. I've never said that about a woman in my life.
My child was never taught to be rude or speak like that to anyone.
Yeah, I've never called even when I was a teenager.
He's a grown adult now,
Yeah.
and he still doesn't talk to people like that.
Yeah, I've never called a woman a dog in my life. I think it's I think it's low rent. And
I think it is too. I think that's what I meant when I was saying that it seems like people are trying to make it a racial issue, but I think it's a sexist issue.
yeah.
I think it really, I mean, you hear about women walking by construction sites and getting hooted and hollered at.
Catcalling,
well, catcalling can also include, dog,
sure.
ugly, things of that nature. And I'm the only ones that I ever hear calling somebody a dog are two different people. A man referring to a woman he feels is ugly, or a rapper referring to another rapper.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only times that I've ever heard the word dog used in reference to a human being.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Now, today's 15th, isn't it?
Yes.
Wow. Trump pulled the security clearance of Director John Brennan today.
Well, he's been threatening to do that.
But he actually did it.
Yeah, basically, I mean, anybody who has a security clearance who has in any way offended Trump, he's pulling their clearances, or at least he's been threatening to. Oh, we have a call. Maybe this is Grant Peoples calling back. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed in the afternoon. Who's this?
It's your old pal Fred.
Fred, was that Grant Peoples calling earlier? Did you ask him to call? What's that?
I know his voice. That's Grant Peoples.
Oh.
No kidding.
That's interesting. Unfortunately, I guess he couldn't hear us. It's too bad. Well,
but that was him. I know him real well. That was definitely his voice.
Oh, well, perhaps he'll.
But I've been sharing your show. When you were playing the song, I shared your show on his Facebook. So
that's awesome.
Oh, very cool. Thank you for doing that.
I hope he calls back in or something. We can maybe do an interview with him. It'd be great.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to him. Yeah, no, that's really cool.
Sure.
Thank you for doing that.
He's really bright and amazingly talented and just a lot of fun to listen to.
Well, you know us. We love getting to share out people's new music and introduce people to new artists.
Hey, how was your time at the? You went and covered the Unite the Right. Thing, right?
yeah. That was it was a lot of the first day I went there on Saturday. Went there Saturday afternoon out to the Lafayette Park to see what anybody was out there, and the day before, and Lafayette Park, for people who don't know, is directly in front of the White House.
Okay.
And it's a big park. All right, so there's always people protesting there. There's always something going on. I mean, it's like there was a guy there with dressed up as Donald Trump taking pictures,
Yeah.
and had music going, and
really,
there was homeless people, camp out there on the benches, and
sure,
there's just people all the time in front. Then the next day, down in Freedom Plaza, which is on the other side of the White House, down near the right next to the White House, there's the World War I memorial is right next to it, and the World War I memorial is a lot of these placards that stand up that have have stories on them.
Yeah.
So it's not as elaborate as like the World War II memorial, but it's right there, and it's like a big cement platform or patio in front of basically a strip mall, and that's where the I guess the alt left was. That was the Antifa group, and that turned out to be really cool because there was just everybody was having a good time. I mean, it was sweet people, grandmas and families, and everybody was there. They all had signs, and it was kind of interesting. And you have some more extreme people and stuff there, but not anybody who was in any way, picking a fight or anything. It was a really festive attitude or atmosphere. And then what happened was the alt-right guys, there was only I think there was less than 50. There might have been like 35 or so. I think I only saw 10 or 15 when I actually got in amongst them.
Wow.
They came in from a different metro stop, were escorted by the police up to Lafayette Park, which was totally segregated from the whole park was framed in fence so that you couldn't get in there if you were not part of that group. And so all the 10,000 probably people marching up the street singing "Stand by Me." I mean, it make you want to cry that there was that many people that would get off their couch on a hot day to go out and protest against hate. I mean, it was just really a moving thing to see.
Wow, yeah.
And there wasn't anybody being violent or anything like that. It was like families and people, and it was like all these people marching up the street, and some people had like buckets tied around them, and they were playing drums on them, and they were singing, "Stand by Me," and they had a big loudspeaker, and it was just really, really nice. And then they came up and they stood at the edge of the fence, and they screamed at the people on the inside. And so finally, because I have a press pass, I was able to get in with them right before it started to rain. And, I got to film a couple interviews with some of these people, and most of them were in masks and like riot gear, like some kind of like lacrosse helmets or something, looking in case they were in a fight, I guess, they came for a fight.
Yeah.
And there was a couple, guys that I got pictures of that were part of the alt-right, obviously well-known people. I don't know who they are, but I have photos of them now, and hopefully people will see them. And if they're employees of theirs, they'll fire them.
Yeah.
But
hey, that's what happened. Remember the main guy in Charlottesville there, the young man, if you want to call him that.
Yeah.
With the torch that was like screaming. His employer fired him.
Oh yeah.
Right, and rightfully so. And that was one of the things that the people with the Antifa, there was people there that said, I was taking pictures of people on their signs, and they said, look, can you not, I'll stand behind it because my boss, if they see it, they might not like it,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so people are really scared. It's a very powerful tool. Not wearing a hood to a Klan march,
Right.
So,
yeah. So it was.
I mean, that's kind of what it is, But it was good. I met a lot of people, nice people on one side, and total idiots on the other. I mean, there was nobody on the right that I would see was nice.
Are you, Fred? Are you suggesting that there were not very good people on both sides? Is that what you're saying?
No, there was not. No. And I recorded them telling us how it was the Jews who created slavery, and how it was, and I got them on tape, so you can,
I didn't.
Nice guys in mass, of course, because they didn't want to show their face, but it was, they just hated everybody, and no, they were not nice people. They were human.
I can't even think of anything to say to that. I'm just like horrified.
Right, yeah.
Oh, you would have been. You believe me, dear. You'd have been hoping you had one of those lacrosse masks on and a baseball bat, because you'd have been like, no, we're not going there again.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, never again. Never forget. Never again.
Wow.
And as you're beating them with the club, you'd be saying that. I promise you, because you'd be like, these people. I can't believe the horrid things they were saying,
Right.
And here's the thing.
But they came for a fight. They really did. But there was only like 25 of them, and there was 10,000 of the other ones. So
yeah, they got a little
probably wouldn't
scared,
have been a fair fight.
I bet they backed right down.
Yeah.
But I was calling because I have family down there, and I was scared for them. Last year, my best friend, who might as well be my sister from another mother, is a cardiac thoracic nurse at UVA and had to be escorted to work by the National Guard.
Yep.
That's scary. She goes to work every day to save lives, but last year she had to be brought there by the National Guard for her own safety.
Yeah. No, that is, yeah. Well, listen, Fred, so we've got some folks who've just joined us here in the studio, so we'll let you go.
No problem, boss.
But,
I just wanted to call and say hi to you.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did.
Yeah, definitely.
Call anytime, and I'm glad you got back safe. I figured you would.
It's so much fun to be the guy that gets to be at these things,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I give you credit for going. I know that when my name showed up on Stormfront, I was nervous, to say the least. I give you credit for being able to handle being around those people and not wanting to do something else.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah, no
Oh,
kidding.
no,
You know?
there's never that moment where I don't want to. I just know that, I'm a one-armed guy, as much as I'd like to, I probably don't want to get, my butt beat by
Right.
a bunch of crazy right-wingers.
Discretion is the better
True
part of
enough.
valor.
True enough.
All right, Fred. Thank you for the call, my friend.
All right. Talk to you later, boss.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jenny.
Bye.
That was Fred Bonig from thedailyripple.org. And thank you again, Fred, for sharing out the show. And joining us here in the studio, we have the Honorable Gary S. Hopper, who once again, I have to know, Gary, is this intentional? Your shirt matches your what is it? An iPad or what is that there?
Tablet. Yes.
Yes.
I bought the what's the name of this one? Turtle or something?
I don't know.
Did you guys go with him and help him out? Oh,
Okay, so I bought this. I got a Samsung Galaxy 2 tablet.
Oh, okay.
And I got a beetle defense case for it.
A beetle? Why have you been attacked by beetles out in where?
No, but I had a tablet before, and it kept breaking.
Imagine,
And I had the cover for the S2 that Samsung sells.
Yeah.
And it broke a few times. I finally got sick of it because it's like these tablets, it's like $200 just to fix the screen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's ridiculous. So
yes.
I bought this, and so now that I bought it, obviously I got to have shirts that match the tablet cover.
Of course,
case.
yes. And I admire that. You're always very
impressed
well
that you
color
match.
coded. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It looks good.
That's because all I care about. I'm kind of a fashionista.
Kind of
really.
wondering a little, Gary, though. I have to wonder. So you're very good at matching your clothes,
right?
And you like musicals.
Yes, I really.
Yeah, you know what I'm. Yeah. See. Yeah, he knows what I'm saying.
Okay,
You're
anyway.
gonna have to let Brenda know this, man.
No, you don't have
Sorry, I
to. You don't have to tell her.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Hey, so anyway, I brought.
Wondering why you're hanging out with Michael so much.
Michael?
All right, Sia, tell us
Who's
a story.
Michael?
I don't know.
Michael is the person he is avoiding mentioning.
Oh.
He hangs out with him on a daily basis.
Really?
On a daily basis.
Michael, huh?
So anyway.
Sometimes, sometimes.
Turn down
sometimes
his
he goes
mic
to
so
the
we
house.
can keep the.
Sometimes he comes to the house and I get kicked out.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
How could you be more blunt?
Jeez.
You kick out your grandchild?
Well, if he's gonna fabricate stories like that, why wouldn't I kick him out?
It just becomes like a vicious cycle.
Terrible.
You kick him out, so he fabricates stories. So you kick him out, so he fabricates
Yeah, that's
stories.
basically what's going. Anyway, so I didn't want to come alone unarmed, so I brought Mr. Damon.
Yes. Isn't he Dr. Damon? Dr. Damon
Dr.
Hess?
Damon Hess.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a nuclear geneticist.
Yes.
And
No, it's true.
Yeah, we wouldn't lie about that.
He's very smart.
We brought Connor Hamill, who is
Yeah, maybe
a
you can hear me.
is a what's your title? Make one. I mean, what is your title?
Yeah, you can make one up. Radio is theater of the
I
mind.
think he's security, and he's supposed to keep you in line.
Oh, that's a good idea, actually.
That is good to have. Yeah, he's my security detail.
There you go.
I feel
but
safer.
not for my security.
Right.
Those around me. So
Yes.
If I get out of hand again.
That's wonderful and a huge relief.
Yes.
Hey, I have a question. So you're co-host on Rock Paper Hand Grenades,
Sir Eric of Eastman.
Sir Eric of Eastman. He was here last week, and he's now a Justice Progressive, from what I understand.
Huh.
No longer a Republican. How do you feel about this, the Honorable Gary S. Hopper?
No comment.
It's like he's transitioned.
Yes, he's gone through some transitioning. Is a good way to say that. I don't know. I'll let him speak for himself. I'm not getting involved. He's a great co-host.
He is, absolutely.
Because it's like you were my co-host for so many years, and you were never like a staunch conservative. You're kind of middle of the road. You like to weigh both sides.
I'm a centrist at heart.
Centrist,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Was that ever a problem?
No.
I like it because if I just have somebody else on with me that absolutely agrees with me 100% of the time, it's kind of
no. Eric's a great co-host for you. Although I told him last week, I said I know it's a sin, but I covet his hair.
Yeah, I know. He does have a lot better hair than you.
He has
nothing personal.
He has the best hair of any. I mean, he has. Yeah, no, he does. He has better hair than me.
And his name's not Michael.
Of any of your co-hosts, really. I mean, he even has better hair than John Heichel.
I think.
Say,
Oh
yeah.
well, yeah. That's
Personally, I think you should drop Eric Eastman. Bring me on. I'll disagree with you every single time, just to make it more fun.
Yeah, but how's your hair?
Yeah, he doesn't have. He doesn't
I
have the
like
hair.
wearing a hat.
Yeah,
Just
see.
Yeah, you don't got it going on, really.
Well, listen,
Gary needs
Did you have like long bangs or?
I mean, you could let it grow out, maybe.
Oh,
and
actually-
we'll talk. But
Okay, yeah.
Actually, he does
so
have
without
pretty
the
good.
hat, you'd be flipping.
He
your
does have
hair all
pretty
the
good hair,
time.
actually.
yeah, he
He's
does. He
got
does,
some
but it's not. It's not super.
But it's not Eric Eastman hair.
On multiple occasions, people have called my hair quite sensual.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say that, but
This
now that
is
you mention it,
not a comfortable discussion.
that
No,
is
it's not.
sensual or sensuous or whatever. I mean, it looks silky and smooth. I'll say that.
Well, remember, he's
Matthew?
15, so you gotta remember there's a limit. There's a limit on how.
I meant that in the most heterosexual way possible.
Well, it shouldn't be sexual at all. He's 15.
Well, that's true too.
Matthew.
Well, you know these kids today. You just never know.
Yeah, you don't. You know.
Lucy.
What?
I'm just trying to get him to stop it.
I do acknowledge that admiring another man's hair does make me legally gay in at least 5 states, but that's in the South.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
So, Connor, what do you think?
I don't know.
No, say something more than that. You have to just come up with something. Tell. What do you think about the? What's a good question?
Oh, geez, I don't know. What's a good question?
What do you think of the President of the United States?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Well, that's not a fair question because he does need a ride home.
Oh,
yeah.
That is a fair question because he has a right to his opinion, and you respect.
And I
other
have a right to
people's
let people
opinions.
in my truck that I want to let in my truck.
That's true. It's the right of free association.
So,
I
in
think is
other
what
words, you're
yeah.
saying that you would do child endangerment instead.
Yes, I said that. Yeah.
I think you're
I said
taking.
that.
I think you're
that's
taking
fair.
everything he says a little bit too seriously.
No, this is
Connor
what we
hasn't
always
said
do.
anything.
No, I think she's
Yeah,
taking
that's true.
anything that the G-Man says a little too serious.
The G-Man.
The
Wow.
G-Man, of
Whoa,
course.
wow.
I'm trying to switch it up from the Honorable Gary S. Hopper, as I don't find him honorable, but I do.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
But-
He's got a lot
but-
longer walk than this one.
I do find him to be I find him to be a man, and his name starts with a G. Those are all facts, unless he changes his gender. But as of now, they are all facts, and I feel like we should stick by the facts. As honorable, it's just an incorrect opinion.
Well,
Wow.
Well, speaking of facts, you said G-Man. I don't know if you know this, but that's what they used to call him back in the 70s when we used to hang out at Studio 54. Everyone called him G-Man.
That's right.
Remember that?
Remember I had my group, Gary and the Asthmatics?
Yes. And your hit single?
Yeah, my hit single was
Gay Guy.
You leave me breathless.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it was Gay Guy by the G-Man.
No,
Well, no,
I
that
never-
was
that was
something different.
No, that was completely different.
Yes.
I have no association with those people.
No.
Zero.
I do.
Congrats. Congratulations.
Oh my. Oh my.
Anyway.
Well.
So
Connor,
anyway, what?
is your opinion on the president?
Oh yes, the president. Yes.
Yeah. Be very careful.
All right, I will express my opinion on the president.
Oh, all right.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
yes,
Well,
please.
you are a nuclear physicist, so.
How old are you?
15.
I'm really, seriously, I'm really curious to know what does a 15-year-old think about the state of our nation?
He was just at the White House last week, by the way.
Oh, he went with you.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
glad you were able to bring him.
He got to listen to Sir Ben of Carson and pick
That
up.
was not the highlight of the day.
Oh no, the highlight of the
Did you
day.
say
what-
Wade?
tell him what you did to the Secret Service.
I was able to secure a record for most Secret Service agents fist bump.
Really?
30. Over
30?
30. Yeah.
Wow.
30 fist pump from Secret Service agents.
And that was more exciting than listening to Dr. Ben Carson speak? I can't imagine.
I will admit that he was a little bit more. He was more interesting than the rest of them.
Really? But you were able to hear him like he did. Like you were able to actually hear him speak.
I know I
Well,
went
it's
to
in a
hear him
small
speak
room.
once, and it was kind of like,
Anyways, the president.
Yes.
I think he's an obnoxious fella. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But we weren't exactly given top choices, you know, like
Sure.
It's not, I would still choose him over Hillary Clinton. But I will admit, you know, he's got to calm down, you know, he's got to stop talking so much. I feel like I have no problem with like his opinions, you know, on things because
You agree?
I mean, I agree on some things. I don't agree on, like, separating yourself from the entire world. But other than that...
I would agree with your disagreement on that.
But I think his biggest weakness is, you know, just insulting everybody. And another problem I have...
I think his biggest weakness is his ego.
That's a good point. My biggest... But what I hate even more than, you know, being obnoxious, because, you know, I'm obnoxious sometimes. I insult people sometimes.
No
you know,
way.
But I don't like that he insults people, but is also very sensitive when someone insults him back.
Very thin-skinned, yes.
It's kind of, you know, you can dish it out, but you can't take it, which is not an admirable quality.
I agree.
Agree.
Yeah. He's very, I think he's very insecure. Yes. By the way, quickly, hello to Ed Murphy, John Chuck Gosson, and of course, Peter White from the morning show with Peter White and the Moose, who all join us.
Every single one
in
of those
the,
persons,
Facebook live chat.
every single one of those people are my father.
They're all your dad? Oh,
Yes.
my goodness. Oh, we have a comment.
Wait, what?
Absolutely.
How's that possible?
Don't need to know.
He has a tablet. Hello to, by the way, I acknowledged him already, Archie Frangudis, but he said in the Facebook live chat, regardless of the woman, I respect them all. And at 78 years old, still stand up when a woman enters the room. Oh, good for you, Archie. By the way, I mentioned it yesterday. I'll say it again today. Frangudis, it sounds like a kind of cheese, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it does.
Yes.
I'm going to have to.
You're thinking of Gouda cheese.
I want to pick up some Frangudis at the deli.
That's a very Gouda cheese.
Yes, yes. Well done, sir. And very punny.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, yes.
Fantastic wordplay
Hey,
by the
hey,
G-Man
yeah.
and
Yeah.
Matthew.
So
Yes,
anyway,
thank you, yes.
wait. No, so there was a guy in there. I don't know. He wasn't a drug czar, quote unquote, but he was talking about the heroin epidemic. Damon, tell him what you said when he was talking about he thought that pot should be completely stay illegal.
I said because they were talking about the heroin
This is
epidemic.
keep it. Wait, just background. So this is a conference. A delegation of New Hampshire legislators and other people, mostly legislators, went down to D.C. We got a tour of the White House in the morning, and then we went over to the other part of the complex and went to a conference with a bunch of heads of people in the.
Was this the one with the FDA?
Not sure. So I don't think the FDA was there. Anyway, we had all these heads of different departments, one of which was Ben Carson. And so one guy was talking about making sure pot stayed illegal, and this is a room of probably like 60 people.
Yeah.
He said that he thinks that pot should be illegal because it could worsen the heroin epidemic, and I said I do not think that is true, because then kids who are buying pot are going to be getting away from people who are dealing heroin and whatnot, which I think is part of the problem.
Yeah.
I'm not as proud of myself as what I said. I'm just kind of happy that I was willing to say it in front of a bunch of other 60-year-old state legislators.
Well, although there was probably quite a few people in the room who agreed with you.
There was a fair amount that didn't.
Oh, really? No kidding.
It
Yeah.
takes courage to stand up for what you believe and be willing to speak up. That takes a
Yeah.
lot of courage
Yeah.
and vulnerability.
Yeah, the guy, first thing he says
definitely be
is,
proud.
he looks at him, how old are you?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because he didn't expect to be interrogated.
The first thing I said was that I am not a state legislator, and I think I said that I don't think that means that I can't have an opinion.
Good for you. Yeah,
I'm not
good.
Sure.
No, that's right.
I'm not 100% sure what I said.
No, that's good.
It was pretty awesome. I was pretty proud of him.
Yeah.
I don't agree with him a lot, but I'm still pretty
slurptastic.
proud of him.
Yeah, it was a pretty slurptastic moment for me.
It was slurptastic?
Slurptastic.
Did they give you
absolutely.
Slurpees? I don't understand. Do
yeah.
they serve Slurpees at the... Well, Trump probably drinks Slurpees. I can actually picture that.
Yeah, I can.
I can
Little
picture...
spoon thing.
Yeah, like a Slurpee and a hot dog. I can imagine that.
Totally.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us anything else about your trip?
It was
to
hot.
to DC. Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was super hot.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Was it just for one? Were you there for a day, or did you stay overnight? Or
No, we went down there on. I got all kinds of pictures on Facebook, but went down there on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Got there around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Checked into the hotel and then crashed.
Yeah.
And then got up Wednesday for the meeting. The tour was at 8:30 in the morning. Lots of security. He starts fist pumping Secret Service.
Yeah.
I'm nervous. Be honest with you.
Really?
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, geez, I don't think that's a good idea. And I figured, well, they're grown people. They can deal with a 15-year-old. So I just let it slide.
Yeah.
And then he just kept doing it. And most of them were totally cool.
Good.
Except every now and again you get some,
We thought
guy
his
with a
job
hair.
was far too important to deal with a 5-second fist bump because he is the last line of defense against an orange-skinned man, or for an orange-skinned man. Really, your job is so important. You're not even near the guy. You're like
the guy isn't even in the state.
You're 200 feet. You're 200 feet away from the White House, which he isn't in, and your job is too important to be giving someone a fist bump.
Yes.
I love it.
Wow.
I love it.
Yeah. Huh.
I love it. I love his attitude. It's great.
I don't know where he gets it from, though. I'm pretty easygoing.
Yeah. That's right.
I get along with people pretty good.
Yeah,
Connor, what do you think?
I don't know.
You know that you're allowed to have a conversation. I mean, I literally called him gay.
Hey, whoa! You didn't say that.
You're right.
You did not say that.
I insinuated.
I
insinuated.
Not literally.
That is
he
not
may
okay.
be.
There's limits of my tolerance.
You're right. I did not say it.
I
I alluded to it.
You allude to a lot of
alluded to
things. You're going to allude to like staying on the streets of Manchester.
Out
That's
on
not
the
what
streets
allude
for a
means.
living.
Not what that word means. You used it incorrectly.
I think Damon should have a show here on WMNH.
I'm just going to sit here. It's like watching a tennis match. You just go back and forth.
Yes.
Okay, so on the side note.
So by the way, no, I got a question
dear.
for you. So you were in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
So tell me, how horrific is it there now that cannabis is legal?
In D.C.?
Yeah. How horrific is it?
I didn't know it was even legal, so I have no idea.
Imagine that. You didn't even notice the difference.
Well, there is a difference, but...
Really?
Oh, absolutely. I went to Colorado, so I've spent some time in Colorado since I've legalized it.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of difference.
They have less overdose deaths. They have less issue with opioids. And everybody got a tax refund. And there's a lot of children with rare forms of epilepsy that are not suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Pretty amazing. All their schools are funded.
Yeah.
Fixing the roads.
I just want to say I got a friend request from Grant Peoples, and he's famous.
Who is he?
He's a singer-songwriter. He's a musician.
We were playing some of his music earlier.
And he called the show, but unfortunately he couldn't hear. Like we could hear him, but he couldn't hear us. But I'm sure
he must have had
we'll
a
speak to him
bad
again.
cell zone.
But go ahead, Gary. What were you going to say? Because I know you're short on time because you've got to get upstairs. You don't want to raise the ire of Mr. Paul Cormier. Did you know, by the way, that that's the correct way to pronounce his last name?
I don't really care.
Yeah.
I hate French people, so.
Right.
Hey!
That's
what?
fair. I think it's pretty fair. You know.
That's fair, right. So, no, Paul actually shows up late now. He's got a job.
Oh, that's right, yes.
So there's that pretty young lady that sits in for him for the first 10 minutes or something.
Yep, Kirsten, yep.
Kirsten, she's a sweetheart.
She does a great job, yes.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. What time is it?
I've got...
I got 13 minutes.
Yeah.
You got 5, 10 minutes. Oh, yeah, I wanted to say that it's relentless how much fake news there is out there. It's irritating. There's a thing that kept coming through Facebook yesterday. It was Republican candidate for state legislator who agrees with Adolf Hitler wins primary. That was basically the title of the article.
Where was this?
Missouri.
Missouri. Okay.
Man, I hope that's true.
Well, it is that's what I had. That's the problem. Is you see these headlines and they don't tell you what he agreed with Hitler with, because everybody in this room has agreed with Hitler on some issue or some.
I don't think so.
Oh, absolutely.
You go ahead and try me.
Okay, so Hitler likes his coffee with 2 creams. Somebody likes his coffee with 2 creams.
Are you kidding me? That's your
No.
example?
No,
That's the best you can come up with, cream
What
and
he's
coffee?
saying is that not just because you're an evil person doesn't mean every opinion you have is evil. You can say something good and then go kill a bunch of Jews.
I can say anything good about him, and I'd be very careful about the way you use the word Jew.
Okay.
That was
Anyway,
literally stating that's what
he's
they are.
correct. He is correct.
As a Jewish woman, I will tell you that you should be very careful about the way that
Whatever.
you are
I
throwing
was
that
not an
word
insult.
around.
I was literally
yes.
stating that they were Jewish people that died. That is a fact.
Yep.
That is not something that you should try and argue. And I was not.
Jewish is a very nice word for you to say. What were you saying there, Gary?
Okay. Anyway, you're sidetracking. So, like Damon said, every human being agrees on a lot of things with almost every other human being. There are a lot of things, not everything, obviously, and most things maybe not. But Hitler, every thought and everything Hitler did was not inherently evil. It is insane to believe that. Okay? So, a statement that a candidate agreed with Hitler means absolutely nothing.
To you.
It doesn't.
To a lot of people, a candidate saying that they agree with Hitler is an automatic no.
Okay, whatever.
Not gonna give you my vote.
But that's not critical thinking.
It
That is
doesn't
emotional thinking.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I wanna-
right.
what
It's
if-
emotional
here's-
thinking.
oh my God.
Tell that to my family who died in the camps.
It has nothing to do with that. That is
okay?
irrelevant.
The guy does not deserve
If he
to
believes
be
the
used
sky
as an
is
example.
If he believes
I
the
can't
sky
believe of
is
all
blue,
examples, you're going to use Hitler as an example. You know what? If you want to agree with Hitler and say, "Oh, I agree with Hitler," and put that in your re-election campaign, you go right ahead.
I'm trying to make
I'm
an
sure a lot
argument
of
that you're
people
just
like
you're
me
just
that
taking
will
off on a tangent.
absolutely. You're damn right
It's
I
a
am.
wicked tangent. It's
You're damn
not
right
relevant.
I am.
It
As
isn't.
a proud Jewish woman, I will absolutely, absolutely have nothing good to say about Hitler, and I certainly wouldn't use him as an excuse or an example of somebody that I may or may not share an opinion with.
Okay, well, I am trying to tell you that that statement in that headline means absolutely zero without clarification.
Well, what was what was?
So that's just it. I had
So
to
what did he agree with?
So I had to look into it.
Right.
Because that doesn't mean anything. So I did look into it, and what he did agree with Hitler on was pretty horrible, and his agreement with Hitler was on the underlying problem in Germany during the 20s and after World War I was that the Jews had control, the Jewish people had control of money and the arts and everything else, and that was the problem with Germany. Okay, which was something Hitler did believe, and this guy agrees with him. So that was horrible.
Right, that's anti-Semitic. Yeah,
it
clearly.
is anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
absolutely nothing to defend.
I didn't try to defend it.
He's saying that the article could have been misleading.
Because no, I get what it is.
You're talking about an article that obviously said that a person was not only anti-Semitic, they're pretty nasty, and you're using that as an example for fake news. Really?
I haven't finished. If you keep interrupting, I probably will never finish.
I will keep interrupting as
Okay.
long as you're going to say stupid things like that.
He wasn't saying anything stupid. He just said something that offended you. That's.
Well, wait. No, so I think the
Most
point.
Jews are quite offended by Hitler. Go
Okay.
figure.
Anyway, so I had to look further and find out why the heck is this news and what's going on.
Right.
So it turns out that the reason the guy likely won is because he had a local radio show.
Yeah.
And he probably had name recognition. But the real reason he won is it's such a profoundly strong Democrat district that no legitimate Republicans will even put their name in because it's a waste of money.
Yeah.
So the fact that he won is almost irrelevant. The fact that he's anti-Semitic is horrible.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really, it was fake news in that it really wasn't newsworthy, because the only reason you would publish that is to make Republicans look bad and to increase the division amongst people.
How is it making Republicans look bad?
Because
if
he's
you're
a
publishing
Republican.
So the Republican is the one who agreed with Hitler and won the election, not the Democrat.
Primary. He won the primary.
But
he is not. There is no way he's winning the election.
How do you know that?
Because that's what I had to look into. The Democrat that is the incumbent ran unopposed in 12, ran unopposed in 14, and won in a landslide in 2016, which is a Republican year.
We've seen bigots get elected. We've seen bigots get elected.
I know.
We've had to deal with them together on the House floor listening to,
I get it.
to garbage.
I get it. We had Al Sear. I don't know if you were there that year. We had Al Sear.
Oh, yeah, the one that wanted
shoot cops.
Yeah.
So yeah, we end up with nutcases because we have 400 legislators. We got a couple of. The odds are you're going to end up with some loose cannons, and we ended up with a few buttes this year, but this past year. But still,
you couldn't pay me to go near there.
But it still does. I'm saying it's fake news because the election really didn't mean anything.
It does mean something.
Not really.
You can't say an election doesn't mean anything. Do you think an election means nothing then, Matt?
I would have to disagree. Like, I understand your larger point, Gary, but I think it's...
I get my largest point is I got to go.
I have one final question.
Well, you want to plug your show before you go?
He can.
Okay. Go ahead, Damon.
You should watch Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades, I guess, because I will be on there. But after that, don't watch it. One final question: of the two of you, do either of you like Disney?
No.
I mean, there's certainly individual Disney movies I've seen that I've liked, but I'm not a
I'm very
big
aware
Disney fan.
of Disney's past as well as Ford
That is
and
not
a
what I
number
was
of
going
other
to say.
people.
Yeah. Wait.
So where were you going with that?
I love Disney.
Okay.
That's it.
Oh,
See you guys
okay.
later.
All right. Dr. Damon Hess leaves us. And, of course, the Honorable Gary S. Hopper went up to do his show, which it sounds like Damon is going to be on. Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades on Channel 23 here in Manchester. And, I got to switch that camera.
I'd love for you to take the last word on that whole...
Well... So I understand Gary's point, but I disagree with it. I do think it's not fake news to point out, for the media to point out that I don't think it's just to hurt Republicans to point out that the individual who won that primary is anti-Semitic.
Exactly.
I understand what he's saying, but I disagree with him. I think it's relevant. Of course it's relevant. And
the election's relevant. What he's saying is relevant.
Right. Yeah. It's not fake news. To me, fake news is literally fake news. If
fake news would have been them accusing him of being anti-Semitic, and he turned out to be Jewish himself.
Right. Yeah.
Or not anti-Semitic, but he not only admitted to it, he's proud of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just got a message from on Facebook from Grant Peoples. He says, "Hey Matt, sorry the phone thing misfired today. I was in some wretched stranglehold of a red state county where cell service is worse than dentist care. Anyhow, I heard that you had played the song Long Night. Thank you for getting it. Thanks for punching. We got a long way to go. We ain't even seen nothing yet. Let's talk sometime, Grant." Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Grant. And if you're still listening, thank you very much. And hopefully we can get you on the show. And when you're in a place where there is some better cell service, and we'd love to talk to you further. And we're speaking of the show, we're about out of show.
We are.
So thank you, everybody, of course, who participated in the Facebook Live chat today. And thank you, of course, to the Honorable Gary S. Hopper for stopping in, as well as Dr. Damon Hess. And I already forgot the kid's name who sat over there. Do you remember his name?
I have no idea.
I feel bad. He barely said it. He barely said anything.
He didn't. I don't think he wanted to.
I don't either. I think he was uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think this whole thing was just sprung on him.
I think it was.
I think it was like, here, let's go on this show. and he was like
stuck a microphone in his face and
yes,
everything.
yes.
It's so mean.
He's probably very nervous. No, I'm sure he's fine. But anyway, so if you miss any part of today's show, it will be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org, where all the shows are archived. And, of course, I'll be back tomorrow. Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon, weekdays 4 to 6, right here on WMNH 95.3 FM. Oh, and thank you to Fred Bonig from thedailyripple.org for calling in earlier. Always great to talk to him. And, of course, for sharing out the show like he does. We appreciate the support. And that's it for now. Talk at you all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.